Hello, team. My name is Diego, and I'm trying to help businesses to automate processes and to implement AI ledgers into their workflow. So, a couple months ago, I realized that right now is the perfect moment for us to start learning new things and to start using the tools that are available for us. So, after completing a course in AI related to finance, I realized that now is the perfect time and the perfect environment to start trying to help businesses and individuals to implement these tools. So right now I'm working for an accounting company, and on the side I am trying to build Forecast AI, which eventually will be a platform where individuals and companies will be able to select different automation tools, I mean automation workflows that they can will be able to implement into their organization. And there are a couple of things that are still under development, but I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty excited about it. I know that this will take years to build, but the end result will be definitely spectacular, at least to my eyes. So what I'm doing right now, the first automation that I am trying to build, it's a simple step out of a bigger progress process. So the overall process is to issue statements in behalf of our clients so that we can tell, sort of speak, the government all those transactions that were made in a specific period of time between my client and his or her or vendors or the organization's vendors and suppliers slash suppliers. Excuse my English, but I'm still learning how to speak with 100% fluency. So that's definitely something that I am actively working for. That being said, please bear with me. Anyways, going back to the main point. So that's the bigger process. But right now, I am just building a sub automation, which is pretty simple. As you can see here in this Excel file, each one of the rows represent one invoice. Within that invoice, which I will show you in a couple minutes, there's a list of different products or services that were sold in a specific period of time. But in this case, there are some products and services that are taxed at 16% rate, and there are some others that are taxed at 0% rate. So my first task right now is to separate those products that were taxed either at 0 or at 16% rate. And right now the process is being done manually, and I believe, truly believe, that we could automate that. There's no need to do that process um, manually, especially right now with AI and AI agents and all those different things that it can do. However, I will start to do it. I will first do it manually so that I understand the process thoroughly, and then I will build a script, and then eventually I will build the AI ledger. So, with that context in mind, I already did two different inspections. This invoice does not have any product or service at 0% rate, so that makes it fairly easy. And then I went to this other invoice, and it happens that this one has some products and services at 0% rate. So since the statement that I want to create deals with products and services taxed at 16% only, I need to separate those ones so that I can actually compute accurate figures. And this is where it gets interesting because there are a lot of implications as of what are the rules, what regulations I need to follow, um, what are the security guardrails that I need to implement in order for this to work. And I will definitely cover all those questions that may or may not arise. It's just that for now I need to keep moving because I've been trying to build this for at least 1 month, and even though I already have the a pretty good sense of what I need to do, actually building it is extremely complicated. Not because it's difficult, but because it's tedious. So let's go and inspect the next invoice right here. So to do that process, which by the way, it's going to be automated as well, I need to access my client's account with the Mexican Tax Revenue Agency, direct myself to the right option where I can retrieve invoices from the government server and keep those invoices on my personal device. I already did that manually, and again, that will be automated. But right now, the urgency is to uh, focus on this automation that I am building right now because that's the backbone of everything else. So these are all the different transactions, aka invoices that were issued and received in a specific period of time. In this case, is April. So what I have to do right now is just to literally audit, a quick audit. You just need to find the invoice over here, but I won't find it right here. And I do this on purpose, somewhat, because this is a key aspect of the automation, which is I need to go and look for this specific unique identifier, not in April, but rather in a different month, because this Excel file right now, mm, this Excel file that I am hovering over, is related to April because in it was then that the invoice was paid in April, and that's a different process. But the invoice was issued earlier in the year, and since all the actual information regarding products and services and tax rates and all of that um, other boring stuff um, are presented in the actual invoice, which is this one. As you can see here, it's unique identifier, related unique identifier. I need to go and access those files. Now, what's the issue with that? I have two different options, and this is actually something that I am still thinking about. I don't know which action plan I will take, but I know that I have two different options. Option A is to download from the IRS, Mexican Tax Revenue Agency servers, all the different invoices that were issued or received in a specific period of time, and then tell my automation script to go and look for those invoices that have a related identifier between one another. Because remember, in this specific case where the issue was paid in later months rather than on the spot, um, it is imperative to keep a trace of both the original invoice and the actual payment. Those are two different documents. They are not the same, even though they are related. So the first thing that I need to figure out right now is how to make my automation aware. Let me rephrase that. How can I enable my automation with the functionality of accessing um, related unique identifiers? And I really have a pretty decent idea of what I have to do right here, which is I first need to access any related ID from my invoice type P. And the meaning of that is that whenever my client paid for that invoice that was issued earlier in the year, that process entails a specific type of invoice called P. So within that invoice type P, at the bottom of the invoice, also known as XML file, you will have the ID identifier, which is this one right here for each individual invoice. So that's the first thing that my automation needs to do for this step. And then once it finds um, that specific ID identifier, I need the automation to retrieve key information from that identifier that will help me then to separate those products that were taxed at 0% and those that were taxed at 16%. So these are the key piece of these are the different um, this is the piece of information that I need once the automation finds that related ID identifier. Perfect. So that being said, I will just go and exemplify this real quick, just to gather my thoughts a little bit right here. And then um, the reason why I'm telling you this is because I won't find this specific related ID in all those other invoices that I already download from the tax servers, from the SAT servers. Um, so what I have to do right now is that I need to access the Mexican Tax Revenue Agency server, and what I have to do, and again, this is going to be automated because now you can actually uh, instruct AI agents to interact between systems and between interfaces. This right here is an interface, is a system, is a web browser. So that's how I know that this can be automated. But there's another alternative, which is getting direct access to this server via an API, an application program interface. And that's also a route that I might take. It's just that I don't know which one is better, which one is best. Anyways, so right now what I have to do is to go to invoicing and then invoicing services. And then I need to go to the platform where I issue, cancel, and retrieve invoices, aka XML files. I need to access the keys, and then since all these invoices were, since these all invoices represent purchases for my client, I need to go to received invoices instead of issued invoices. If this were a sale, if this transaction were a sale, then I would issue a different. Um, I will be looking at the issued invoices. I just wanted to give you a little bit of context right there. And I'm sorry that I got distracted, but I heard something. I guess it is one roomie. It's one of my roomies. Anyways, let's get back at it. So we copy, we paste the unique ID identifier for this specific invoice right here. Okay. Alrighty. So this is the XML, aka invoice. And what I want to do right now is to see if this product has 0% and 16%. And the way in which I will understand that is by analyzing these two. So I see that it has 16% rate, and I see that it has another different type of rate, which is 0.03%. And I believe that's YEPS. It's a special tax subject to specific products and services, for instance, tobacco, anything that endangers your health has this special tax. And also, but also it covers other different industries, such as the telecom industry as well. So that's important to have in mind, but right now it's not relevant because I know for a fact that this is not going to affect um, our calculation for this specific process. So I can then be I can then go back and just make a little formula here to understand which is the actual price that I paid for this product or service, because this amount right here is already contemplating taxes, so I don't want that right now. And then I want to actually know how much was the HST VAT in Mexican terms. Perfect. Okay, so we go to the next one, which is this one, and it's the same process. So well, I now have the potential workflow for this specific section of the automation. It's just a couple of steps, nothing too fancy. So let's do one more, because the reason why I'm contemplating the screen right here is because I'm trying to think what's the best next immediate step here. Once I retrieve all that information that I need from the invoices, the related invoices, and I think that I know what I have to do, but I will just let my brain adapt to this piece of information that I just got. So let's go and do the process one more time. Let's see. Okay, let's go. And nope, we don't have any products taxed at 0% rate. We only have 16% rate, which is good. So right now, that's the only thing that I will check. And this is where it gets complicated because the new regulation, which was implemented earlier this year, enforced new rules in terms of invoicing, at least for the Mexican government. I mean, for the Mexican economy. So there's a huge issue right now, which is that a lot of clients are not being able to deduct, or better said, to reduce their taxable income because some of their expenses, some of their purchases are not being considered by the Mexican Tax Revenue Agency called a SAT, SAT in Spanish. And so there are a couple of reasons why this might be happening. One of those is this specific process right here where invoices are not being segmented by tax rates, but there are some others, such as the payment method. These are codes that you need to look in a catalog, and they need to match properly. Um, what else? You need to uh, the unit key needs to be correct. Anyways, there are a couple more other steps, but right now I am not focused on those ones. If I found an issue later on, I will just come back because right now I have a mm, pretty reasonable understanding of all the different issues. Um, and also I upload the whole regulation into ChatGPT, so it has the context now. It can access each and every word of that document, which was issued by the government, and I can ask it things. So that's also pretty big. Um, anyways, right now what's important is to understand that this specific invoice has several products, and all those products were issued at 16%. And I don't necessarily need to go through each one of them because this is the summary of the tax module. So I really don't need to go back. What I have to do, what I have to do right here is just to uh, make the same formula that I did in the previous cell, I mean in the previous row, which was just separating the actual price of the product or service from the taxes. And then in this cell right here, I need to add back those taxes. Oh man. And the sum of these two figures, these two amounts, will give me the total amount of the invoice, which is right here, 21343.41. And since there's no service or product at 0% rate, then I don't need to put anything here. And then I will go back to my notepad because now is the moment to establish step number 3. Step number 3 is actually um, creating 3 different data frames. Create 3 different data frames. Each one, each data frame has a business logic. that I need to explicitly tell the agent, the AI agent, or the automation, whatever comes first, uh, which is base 16%, VAT 16%, VAT 0%, VAT 0%, and then the total. So the math logic behind the base 16% is this one right here. Whatever numbers inside these quotation marks, it needs to divide it by, oh no, I'm sorry. Whatever is inside these quotations right here, it has to divide it by 1.16, and that's it. And then to the VAT, the VAT math logic is the base and whatever is inside these quotations times 16% to add back the tax in a different column. VAT 0% needs to be, well, I will come back at that in a later invoice because this specific invoice does not have any 0% VAT. So I can confidently close this one right here and this one right here as well. And then I can keep going. So I already did what I needed to do, and then I will go and inspect the next one. And the next one is AF4. So I need to go back to my to the SAT server, aka Mexican Tax Revenue Agency website, and I need to filter again. This specific process that I'm doing right now will be automated in the future. It's just that right now it's not the priority. The priority is to just separate these three figures right here so that I can keep issuing statements because I need to issue 1 year worth of statements. So that's why it's urgent to do this rather than a complete automation, the complete process. But once I finish issuing those statements to the government, I will complete the automation, and that's it. We will just hit click on on a platform that we are building, and that will be it. The agent will take care. So we go to this one, HCE. We look it up. Okay, looks big. 16%. There's no trace of 0% rate, so I can just go back. I can just go back and do the same thing here. Oh man, only these two. Perfect. Now we go to the next one, and this is something interesting. There are two different invoices right here, and this is the first time that I will analyze one of these cases. So right now the logic is just go to each and every, just go to these two different invoices and um, do the same process. So I will do that just to verify that we don't have any VAT 0% rate. Okay, this is a this is a big one. So no, we don't have 0%. Okay, and this invoice was issued for 82,326. Holy moly, that can be true. Okay. Hmm. This is interesting. Hmm. Okay, it has a discount. Okay, I will need to make sense out of this. But I want to finish this first section of the, I guess, tutorial. No, I don't think this is a tutorial. This is more like a broadcast. Okay, so now the problem right now is that I don't understand this invoice right here because this is a 60,000 expense. Yet, if you go and see the total amount of this invoice is 95,000. So where is the logic, right? Okay, I will assume that's not an issue right now. However, I will note that on my notes so that I can ask. Okay, since it doesn't have 0%, I will just assume for now, but I will ask because I'm not sure. Oh, okay. It's the same related UUID. Okay. Let me see if this is a canceled invoice or no, it's a valid one. Okay. Okay, so for now I will just assume that I'm pretty sure that I will have to make some changes later on. Okay. Now let's go and inspect this one. Nope, 0%. There's no 0% at all here. So I can do the same thing here. So there was only one invoice who had 0% rate within some product or service. So that was good. Let me just double check one last thing, because there's this supplier who always has those types of rates. So I just want to double check this invoice right here. Yep, 16%. Okay, if this is correct, then the other ones are also correct. Okay, so next one is this one, V389. Wait a minute. Okay, this one has 0%. However, there's an issue, which is this invoice should be type P, and yet this is a type PPD, which is different. These four invoices right here, they are from April, but I found them on the Excel file on May Excel file. They are right here. And the reason why I found them there is because they were issued, well, a couple of them were issued later in the month. That could have triggered that discrepancy right there, but I am not 100% sure. The thing is that these four different invoices, I found them on May, but they have payment date dated in April. They have payment date in April, which is why I have to consider them in April. Okay. Okay, now I understand. Okay. So I got confused. I got a little bit confused just because of the fact that I am inspecting the related unique identifier, which is the original invoice that was issued earlier in the year before it was actually paid. But I was tripping because I thought that that I was inspecting this related ID, which is the invoice, aka XML file related to the payment, which is this one. This one. It was paid in April. But in order for me to understand if this payment had any rate different from 16%, I needed to go and inspect the original invoice that was issued earlier in the year. That's why I was getting confused. Now that I know what was happening, I can confidently come back and analyze if this invoice had any transaction at 0%, which in this case it has. Right here you can see. So I need to go and separate that from, where is it? Separate that from the original price, I mean the base at 16% rate. So I do know that 2,579 were taxed at 0%, 215,079. I also know that mm, the real price of this invoice was 16,745. And I know that taxes at 16% rate out of 16,745 are 2,679. If we add these three figures, it will give us the total amount. Yep. Okay. What am I missing here? What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. It's just that I don't know what it is. Mm, Let me go back to the automation notepad really quick. Oh, okay. Well, the math logic behind it, which actually it's not a math logic, it's just a matter of telling the script or the code to grab this one right here. And here is something interesting. How am I going to make the automation understand the difference between this base and this base? They are both super similar. They the two of them have the same code. The two of them have the same um, description. Whew. So what I have to do is the following. If then insert, and this is where ChatGPT will help me because of course the right wording can vary. Mm, Okay, and then the total. Remember, these words right here. It's me creating these three columns right here. It's just that each column has a specific math logic. In this case, it's pretty simple, but the more advanced um, the the more the more advanced I mean the more advanced processes I get to automate, the more difficult will be for me to build the math logic. And this is where accounting and all those heavy um, courses will be handy. For now, let's just focus on the main issue, which is automate this. So I already have. Um, I just need to insert this logic, which is the total will be the sum. Mhm. Okay, I think that's it. That's pretty much it. This is a blueprint. Perfect. I know that it makes no sense right now, Tim, but believe me, it will. It definitely will. Okay, I just need to add. Well, no, actually, I don't need to add anything right now. This is what I have to build right away. Okay, perfect. I will stop this first live, and even though you might think it makes no sense, I will keep, I will continue to share this journey, and I will show you guys how to transition from a traditional account firm to a fintech one.